Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something truly special. We're kicking off an incredibly profound series, exploring a narrative that is so rich, so deeply layered that scholars universally refer to it as literally the greatest story ever told. We're going to trace a journey packed with intense personal trials, absolute unshakable patience, and the kind of profound divine mercy that steps in right when all hope seems completely lost. But right off the bat, you've got to wonder something. How does a story filled to the absolute brim with intense jealousy, familial betrayal, and some pretty dark plotting actually earn the title of the best of stories in the Quran? It's a huge paradox, right? But that's the beauty of it. This isn't just a dusty history lesson about ancient hardship. It's a literal masterclass in enduring trials. It's meant to show us exactly how divine mercy operates behind the scenes, pulling the strings to make the completely impossible miraculously possible. So, Ahsan-ul-Qasas. It translates directly to the best of stories. And the craziest part about this highly unique title, it wasn't given by some literary critic or historian. It was given by Allah himself in the Quran. For a narrative to be called the absolute best, it needs the perfect blend of conflict, climax, resolution, and of course, deep moral instruction. In today's explainer, we're starting right at square one, chronologically, in the childhood of Prophet Yusuf. Let's set the stage. Meet Prophet Yusuf. We're talking about a kid who was exceptionally handsome, incredibly smart, and possessed a deeply pure, righteous character. He stood out from the crowd instantly. Naturally, that made him his father, Prophet Yaqub's absolute favorite child. But as anyone who studies history or human nature knows, being the favorite almost always comes with a massive, heavy price tag. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the whole epic actually kicks off. The catalyst is a highly mysterious, incredibly vivid spiritual dream. One night, young Yusuf experiences this cosmic vision that is miles away from your ordinary childhood dream. He clearly sees 11 stars along with the sun and the moon, and they aren't just hanging out in the sky, they are actively bowing down to him in prostration. I mean, imagine being a young boy and waking up from an experience with that much spiritual gravity. So naturally, he runs straight to his dad, Prophet Yaqub. Now, Yaqub wasn't just a loving parent, he was a prophet who instantly connected the dots. He understood the profound symbolic weight of what his son just told him, realizing Yusuf was chosen by Allah for immense spiritual greatness. But his reaction wasn't to throw a party. Instead, he was terrified. He gave Yusuf a strict, urgent warning. Keep this dream completely hidden. Do not tell your brothers. Yaqub understood human nature all too well, and he knew that sharing a vision like this could spark a devastating, malicious plot right inside his own home. And this brilliantly illustrates the central, agonizing conflict that drives this whole narrative. On one hand, you've got Prophet Yaqub's profound, fiercely protective love for Yusuf. But on the exact opposite side, his 10 older brothers are just boiling over with intense, deeply rooted jealousy. They looked at their dad's obvious preference and felt incredibly slighted. It's the ultimate tragic irony that pure, deep love from the father was the exact fuel feeding the hatred of the other 10 brothers. And that jealousy didn't just quietly sit beneath the surface. It metastasized into real action. During this chilling consultation, the brothers actually sat down in a group and started plotting. Their logic was cold and simple. Why not just leave Yusuf in a distant jungle so our father's attention will be solely on us? It was just a mathematical equation to them. Remove the younger brother, get 100% of dad's love. The source text actually notes that Satan stepped in precisely at this moment, pushing an ordinary, bitter sibling rivalry straight into the territory of a truly terrible, unforgivable decision. So here is how this nightmare unfolds. First, the brothers use the oldest, most innocent excuse in the book. They tell their dad they just want to take Yusuf out playing and running in the fields. Yaqub is super hesitant. He senses the danger. He even voices his fears. But eventually they wear him down and he yields. And man, the second they reach the isolation of the wilderness, the mask completely drops. They turn on their helpless little brother and violently hurl him down into a deep, pitch-black, dry well. I actually want to pause here for a second so we can fully absorb this. Put yourself in his shoes. An innocent child, suddenly and violently betrayed by his own flesh and blood, free-falling into a dark, blind well. Try to really imagine the sheer despair, the absolute suffocating terror this young boy must have felt in those chaotic first few moments at the bottom, looking up at the brothers who just discarded his life like it was nothing. But hey, the greatest stories don't leave us stranded in the dark. At his absolute lowest, most terrifying moment, the Quran tells us Allah intervened directly to drop absolute peace into Yusuf's heart. He wasn't left crying in the dark, he received divine comfort through revelation right there in the well. The message was crystal clear. Do not grieve. One day you will inform them of this deed of theirs while they will not even recognize you. He's given this ironclad promise of a future where he isn't just safe, but standing in a position of complete authority over his betrayers. This specific intervention ties beautifully to one of the most defining themes captured in Surah Yusuf. Indeed, my Lord is subtle in what he wills. I love that. While Yusuf was physically trapped in total darkness, his soul was brilliantly illuminated by divine revelation. Because he trusted his Lord completely, the physical reality of that well couldn't crush his spirit. His patience and trust were already activating the subtle, invisible, unstoppable plans of Allah. So what is the big takeaway you should really get from this dynamic? It's that human envy is unbelievably short-sighted. The brothers thought they had pulled off a flawless scheme to permanently erase Yusuf and win back their dad's undivided attention. Simple, right? But Allah's overarching plan was running on a completely different level. What the brothers thought was a final, tragic end to Yusuf was actually just the brutal but totally necessary beginning of his divine training and ultimate rise to power. So, the elephant in the room. What on earth actually happens next? We currently have a young, totally vulnerable boy left to die at the bottom of a well in the middle of a vast, unforgiving wilderness. Will a random caravan even happen to pass by this remote, desolate spot? And let's say someone does look down into that dark well. Are they actually going to save him? Or is whoever finds him going to pose an entirely new, potentially worse threat to this kid? Because, let's be real, surviving the well is literally just step one. Where is this incredibly unpredictable journey actually going to take him? How does a discarded child in a hole transform into the man his powerful brothers will one day bow down to, perfectly fulfilling that childhood dream? It sounds impossible, right? Well, that is exactly what we'll be unpacking in the next part of this series. If you found this breakdown of the sources fascinating and you want to see how this ultimate master plan unfolds, let me know by commenting "Amin" down below. And be sure to subscribe so you absolutely do not miss the next chapter of this explainer. Until then, may we all be blessed with that same kind of unshakable patience when we hit our own dark moments. Catch you next time.